Welcome to this special edition of UltraCommerce, where we explore how merchants, agencies, and developers experience commerce and the communities they work and live in. This week we interview Dave Crow and Professor U. And also, they don't always say UltraCommerce, but it sounds better. We'll learn about the platform, its history, and why it's a fantastic solution for a multitude of merchants who are looking for a robust e-commerce platform, or an order management system, or a product information system, or even a marketplace. Wow, this is fantastic. Professor Yu joins us to talk about partners and who should get involved. The Talk Commerce podcast is sponsored by SwiftOtter. E-commerce developers solve problems daily. In fact, some of those seem like mountainous hurdles that must be climbed in a matter of hours. Stress levels can go through the roof. No wonder the plague of burnout affects developers too. But there's a vaccine for that. Investing time in your career will take you farther than you ever imagined. Meet SwiftOtter. SwiftOtter exists to help you become the e-commerce hero that is indispensable and irreplaceable at your company. We do this through Magento certification study materials and Joseph Maxwell's most recent book, The Art of E-commerce Debugging. Go to swiftotter.com to learn more about how you can quickly climb the ranks in your quest to be a better developer. While you're there, use the coupon code TALKCommerce for 15% off any digital goods at swiftotter.com. Talk Commerce is brought to you by eWay Corp. Cloud is a new normal for companies of any size. Buying, maintaining, upgrading, and disposing of machines is expensive and complicated. Amazon Web Services, managed by eWay Corp, offers an easy-to-use, flexible, cost-effective solution to all your infrastructure needs. eWay Corp can provide a secure, reliable, scalable, high-performance network that will make your office hum. Not literally. eWay Corp has saved its customers an average of 31% on their IT costs while adding 62% to the bottom line efficiency. To top that, their customers have seen 43% fewer security incidents. Go to ewaycorp.com to learn how you can start saving money and headaches by moving to the cloud. That's ewaycorp.com. My name is Brent Peterson, and I'm your host. Please remember to subscribe wherever you download your podcasts. And now, Talk Commerce. Welcome to this Ultra Talk Commerce edition of Talk Commerce. It's going to be ultra special today. We have David Crow and Professor Ultraman? No, Professor Commerce are here.
All right, you got to start that over, Brent.
All right. It's Professor Commerce, right? All right, we'll
Professor U. What's the U stand for or whatever? But yeah.
Oh, Professor U. All right. Ready? All right. Welcome to this super ultra edition of Talk Commerce. Today I have David Crow and Professor U with me. Professor, why don't you start off with our introduction? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what one of your passions.
Brent, commerce is my passion, and I'd have to say that some of these folks may have known me. I was formerly over at Magento, where I see your beautiful button there on the microphone. I was Magento man, and keep turning, Brent, keep turning, because you got another one. There you go. Okay, so as things started changing over there, and Magento became Adobe, I kind of lost my name. So I found my name over with a bunch of friends of mine who I used to work with at various other places at UltraCommerce. And I found it to be a really great platform that is both deep and wide, and having a great time here helping Matt Boland and Dave Crow build a partner program.
Great. Ultra. I'm going to call you Ultraman. But I'm going to call you Professor U. What's one of your passions besides commerce?
Boy, I have a lot, but really right now it's visiting museums and getting out post-COVID. So that's my passion, getting out in the world these days and travel.
All right, David, why don't you introduce yourself?
Great, thanks, Brent. I'm Dave Crow, the Chief Customer Officer here at UltraCommerce. I've been with the company a little over a year, and since most of my charter is business development and sales focused, I guess the best way to say this for 5 quarters now, I've been with the company. Have about 25 total years in e-commerce and supply chain. Coming at it initially from the order fulfillment and orchestration side, but also on the commerce front of this. I know Matt, and I actually met you in the past with 4 years I spent at Magento, 2 years prior to and 2 years after the Adobe acquisition. Spent some time in Silicon Valley startup space with some supply chain companies, and ran Smarter Commerce in the Americas for a pretty long period of time with IBM, and was with Sterling Commerce prior to IBM when they acquired Sterling. So a lot of time, a lot of energy in the space. From a passions perspective, I could easily say it's the guitar collection in the background here, but as we started the conversation before we're recording, spend about 90% of our time, as we all do, working. So my real passion is helping our customers grow their businesses. My side passion is really 2 young grandkids. I have a 3-year-old grandson and a 1-year-old granddaughter. And then whatever time they don't consume, I try to spend a few minutes each day playing with the guitars you see behind me.
You're too young
Yeah,
for
and just
grandchildren, Dave.
for those, this is also going to be a podcast where people are just running and listening to it. Dave has a very large selection of guitars behind him, and Professor Yu is appropriately attired in his university colors. His I don't know what you call the thing around your neck, that
Well,
white
right
thing.
here,
What
these
is
are
that called? Is that the
white thing.
colors?
This is the sash, but here are the chords. And
Okay, the chords is what I meant, right?
as our partners have their developers and architects certified on Ultra, we're developing a certification process. They receive a chord for their different skills. Each one is a different color, and each one will be sent to them. We could have done kind of a certificate or something, but along with the certificate, a little something they can hang in their cubicles to say, I'm an OMS expert or I'm a marketplace expert. So a little something extra to give the partners.
Got it. All right. So when I started, you gave me a cord of wood, and I don't know what that means, but I
Keep
appreciate that.
chopping,
And
Brent. Keep
yep,
chopping.
yeah. So today we're going to talk a little bit about UltraCommerce, and I think one thing we'd like to accomplish is give some reasons and value around it, some differentiations between other platforms on the market. And I don't want to I would like this not to turn into a big salesy presentation, but I think that what we want to demonstrate is value to both merchants and agencies on why UltraCommerce is the ultra good selection for anybody that wants to build a store. And I don't know who would like to start off, but I think that's a good
Sure.
starting place.
Yeah, let's start with just a basic overview of the company itself and the platform. So UltraCommerce has been in business since 2000. Our headquarters is in Sydney, Australia. We actually started business as a private cloud hosting company in Australia. And about 5 to 7 years into it, it seemed that most of the workloads we were hosting on our commerce proprietary platform and infrastructure were all commerce focused. About that same time that we started to realize that our customers were dragging us global, was about the same time that Amazon started building AWS and investing in global infrastructure. And as we started to realize that remaining a private cloud hosting company was going to be capital intensive to launch data centers around the world, we decided to go all in with AWS. So our platform runs today exclusively on AWS. We do have our own proprietary platform as a service that sits between our commerce platform and AWS that optimize scalability and performance and allows us to do things like zero downtime deployments and blue-green deploys. So it's a very scalable platform. The commerce platform itself, we started building around 2012, 2013, we started with an open source product that we bought the IP for, and then built out the platform as it exists today to make it enterprise class and scalable. The platform today, one of the things we think is very differentiating for us is it is not only commerce and supports both B2B and B2C and direct to consumer, but it also has natively integrated into it a complete order management capability. the ability to do things like manage global inventories at locations by zip code, all the way down to within the postal center to the actual zip code, and then facilities within zip codes. And we can do things like split order fulfillment and split line item fulfillment. So it's a very robust order management system that's native to the commerce platform. There's also a native product information management capability, or PIM, that's also built into the platform, that we can manage tens of millions of SKUs in the catalog, and pricing updates and customer catalogs and all those unique features. There's a complete content management system built into the platform as well that ships with the platform. It's natively integrated. That's very robust and rivals any of the content systems that you would see people using commonly today. But additionally, there's also a complete marketplace capability that's built in native to the platform that not only leverages native marketplace capabilities to allow external vendors and sellers to participate in commerce, but it also leverages capabilities that exist within the commerce platform and the order management platform that allows those marketplace participants to do things like manage their inventories, manage their orders, manage their accounts, manage their settlements and credits and processing and financial reconciliation between the parties and returns. But it also, the platform itself is built to be multi-tenant. But what we don't do is we don't run a multi-tenant platform. So what we sell is an ability for our customers to run a multi-tenant platform. So we have customers that are looking at, we've benchmarked people running thousands of storefronts on the platform itself. So we also have a pretty unique model that allows people in a marketplace setting to offer e-commerce almost as a service capabilities, where the sellers on the marketplace can actually have an individual unique storefront with a unique branding and unique URL. And we think that's pretty revolutionary. Now, all of that is also underpinned by a customer management capabilities and workflow management, and obviously call center and admin capabilities. So it is a very robust, feature-rich platform that we think has unmatched and unparalleled breadth of capability that's available in the market. And as we talk a little bit more and get into conversations maybe around pricing and how we go to market, I think you'll find that it's competitively priced, and it's a very simple to consume model. And that's what we think merchants and sellers and site operators are going to find the most attractive about the platform.
So you've mentioned a lot of features there. What makes you different from, say, some of the other competitors that are in a certain vertical? I mean, I think that just in the breadth of services you're offering, but not everybody needs an OMS and not everybody needs a PIM. So what makes it different?
That's true. Look,
looking for pure play e-commerce, what makes you different?
What's interesting for us is you can turn those features on and off, but what we see is people that start off as pure play e-commerce that eventually they may grow, right? Their catalog may exceed the capabilities of the catalog capability within the platform. So the PIM is sitting there in the background if they need it, if they want to use it in the future. If they decide to run multi-site, or if they want to move into things like dropship capabilities, right? The order management system can be turned on at your point to leverage capabilities around dropship or vendor supplier or third-party fulfillment. So that capabilities are things that we see a lot of e-commerce site operators growing into over time if they don't need it today. And so we think that capability is robust in that sense as well. Some people may or may not need marketplace, but we also see people leveraging marketplace capabilities to do some pretty creative things in terms of not even just selling, but just building community on their commerce platform. And a perfect example that we have customers today where a lot of what they're doing on their site is providing content, very rich content for people to download to drive community around their selling ecosystem. And they're leveraging our marketplace capabilities to allow those content providers and those users to upload content on the site, and then to do things like drive loyalty points and credits based on the consumption of the content that they're providing for free to the platform. So it's a pretty creative use case, but it's kind of an interesting dynamic that gives people a lot of power, but a lot of flexibility, because you can turn features on and off as you need them. But as your business grows, it's just sitting there in the background without the need for additional license or need for complex integrations. You have that ability to support their business today, as well as 5, 6, 7, 10 years down the road as they begin to grow and expand.
I think that's critical, Brent. We're not after pure e-commerce, not to bring up a competitive platform. Or I would call them applications, because I call what we have a platform. I call other things kind of applications, right? A commerce application, even though they're called platforms. We're not after the Shopifys of the world, right? We're not after the smaller people. We are specifically after those complex network organizations, right? And we see, as we're talking to our customers and our customers and our prospects and our partners, is that they start in one place and then their business requirements or where they want to take it starts to bleed into another capability, as Dave said. So, somebody will, with all these other platforms, somebody has to say, now you're kind of bleeding into order management, right? Or you're kind of talking about a marketplace. And that means they got to go out and find that feature. They got to go out and find that integration. Whereas to Dave's point, right, it's all there. If you want to turn it on or off, you can. I think what's great is it's actually awesome for partners when offering our platform, because they're able to say, well, you know what? And we'll get into this with licensing. You already own marketplace, you already own order management. To fulfill that end-to-end commerce journey of an order, we can just borrow capabilities from order management. You don't, to build that end-to-end process. And then if they say, well, we're kind of interested in marketplace, well, there's a built-in POC. So Brent, you can go out there and say, geez, Mr. Customer, you're talking about marketplace. Why don't we run it, right? You already own it. Why don't you run it? Let's run a POC, see what it would look like. And you're not having to find something that you have to integrate as part of a POC, or how would this interact with this element of the platform? It's all there. That's what's amazing to me, because I'm watching these things happen. And where I came from, you're hearing all the things in today's market. Well, let's get off of Ultra for a second. We're hearing all these things in the market today about microservices and headless and all these things. And don't get me wrong, those things are great. But what kind of business are you? Are you a software development business, or are you an internet retailer, or are you a B2B or a D2C organization? You're building more and more complexity into your go-to-market strategy, whereas Ultra's trying to say, dumb it down, for lack of a better term, right? If it's all in there and it's all integrated, stop buying this vision of this integrated story that's going to come at some point when you can have it out of the box.
And what, so if we're talking from a merchant
Are you smirking at me, Brent?
No.
Did I see that little smirk?
Never.
All right.
I'm never
Okay.
smirking.
All right.
From a merchant standpoint, what would be the right time or the right merchant to get involved or get introduced to UltraCommerce?
Look, I would tell you, we think it's the software is applicable for everyone, but really for us, it's not an SMB focused platform. There's a lot of fantastic platforms that can service that SMB kind of small office, home office space. For us, it's people that are probably 50 plus million in revenues up to several billions, right? And it's because they need enterprise scale, they need enterprise performance, and they need enterprise capability, and they really need 24/7 by 365. And so that's another differentiation I actually didn't mention is we have what we think are industry unique SLAs. And so our standard availability uptime is 99.999% system availability. I'll save you breaking out your calculator. That's 4.5 seconds of downtime a month. And that's inclusive of both planned and unplanned downtime. And so we don't take planned downtime to do performance and maintenance, because our platform as a service lets us do all of that while your site is still functional. So when we tell customers their site's available 24 hours a day, every day a year, it is, right? We have not, even though we're running on AWS, we have not had an outage in well over a year. Knock on wood. I did every time I say that. But the way we can offer that is we're running customers in multiple AWS availability zones at the same time, in triplicate, active, active, active. And so if there's an outage at the AWS level, we still have 2 availability zones that are running the customer's infrastructure, and we dynamically spin up a third in a different AWS availability zone. And so we are able to unparalleled ask people, offer them the ability that when we tell you your site is always available, it's always available. But what we're focused on and our targets are customers who need that kind of class of performance. That's not to say that we don't work with SMB, because we do. Most of the SMBs we work with have complexity in their business that requires them to extend beyond just order management. One of our customers, one such customer, outgrew one of the multi-tenant platforms, specifically because they operate a highly curated marketplace. They're not using marketplace capabilities. It's an e-commerce platform, but it's a highly curated assortment of several 100,000 SKUs that their typical order is upwards of 50 items from 20 20 to 25 different vendors. And so where they had challenges was doing, how do I manage the complexity of order orchestration of fulfillment when I've got so many third-party fulfillers and shipping and shippers that are involved in shipping very, very, very expensive products or components of this order and line items. And I'm working on a commerce platform that only tracks order status at the order level, right? And so what started as an order management opportunity turned into, we have native quoting that's part of the platform. So they were able to reduce the third-party quoting tool they had to add on. Because we have a call center capability and we can do issue management and resolution tied to orders and quotes and SKUs and customers and products, they eliminated a ticketing system that they bolted onto their commerce platform. It really came down to when they looked at all the things we provided out of the box and where their business was going. By the way, there are hundreds of thousands of SKUs now. They actually want to double their catalog to be almost 1 million SKUs by the end of 2022. And we provided them that capability and scale to do that and manage it within the PIM. Also, we provided the ability through our marketplace capabilities to now allow them to get real-time inventory updates from their suppliers so they could actually make it real-time available to promise for custom-built products at point of purchase that they weren't able to do before, because they didn't have the ability to let suppliers contribute to that inventory update and that inventory management. And we do that through the marketplace module, and it's very, very dynamic and robust. It can be done offline, electronically integrated updates, whether that's through EDI or some other JSON file transfers or spreadsheet uploads, or just sitting down and individually updating the products if the vendor has a couple SKUs. And so, where we find niche, especially for the SMB space, is people that have a complex business that's kind of falling down in some respects, if you will, with some of the platforms that they've been using in the past.
So as just kind of coming back to some questions that merchants may have about, you mentioned pass. Are they going to get stuck with upgrade costs that you would have on a platform as a service compared to a SaaS as a service?
That's great, because what we have is, we have a pass, right? But it is really a SaaS subscription. All of our customers are always kept on the most current version of the product. All of the releases and upgrades are concluded as part of their platform costs, as are the infrastructure costs from AWS, as all of the platform as service. Everything is included in the subscription, and while the customer can choose the timing around those upgrades to those releases, we keep everyone on the most current version. There are no additional costs. I think what we're seeing in the marketplace is some folks are very frustrated with the pace of platform end of lives, platform upgrades, and the cost of switching, including some things that have been significantly re-architected by most of the players in the marketplace. And that our intention is to avoid those kind of pitfalls by making sure everyone's current. The other thing that we do with a lot of the customizations that we work with our partners on is things that we think are generally applicable. We actually include as a module in the product, so that if there's something unique that we think is benefit to other people, we may assume that engineering cost or even pay our partners to build that on behalf of our merchants, so that we can put it in next release so that's available to other customers. And that becomes things like, if there's unique payment gateways that come up in the future, unique integrations for third-party logistics or other such providers, we want to put that into product so that's available to everyone.
And I know one scenario we've seen in the upgrade path, and you mentioned that the client can choose to delay an upgrade, is around customizations and third parties having specific customizations that aren't keeping up with the upgrade. Do you have a way of forcing them? I know the issue came up with, certainly around versions of, and I believe you're on Java, but on other platforms that use PHP, is deprecated and soon to end of life, and your underlying infrastructure doesn't meet the requirements for certain things, and you have to upgrade. So how do you deal with forcing them to upgrade?
Well, the nice part for us, so let's deal with these separately. So the customizations, we have a customization framework template that our partners can and will follow to customization so that they stay specific to the platform, right? If we need to, we can also kind of create net new APIs if we need to for those customizations in the future. I think the interesting part for us, because this is running POS on a cloud infrastructure that we are managing and orchestrating, right? We're able to avoid some of those pitfalls of the underlying infrastructure becoming obsolete or out of date with supported to the platform. The bigger risk for us would be somebody's on a legacy ERP application, and that's running on premise in our cloud native platform. we will maintain standards for communications. We do that every day today, right? We have customers that are running some legacy ERP platforms that have since been acquired and then been acquired again and acquired again, but they're still running on a version that's maybe 20 years old that aren't API enabled, for example, where they don't have the ability to consume a JSON file or an XML file. And so we're building integrations for those platforms today that we will support into the future, so that we're not dependent, they're not dependent or constrained by that legacy capability. In fact, the customer I'm speaking of right now, they actually have 7 different ERP systems, but 9 different versions. And so we've kind of insulated those 9 ERP systems through an ESB tool into our platform, but we're also able then to integrate into all those backend platforms and allow them the flexibility to upgrade and change, because I think at least 2 of those 9 different platforms will be upgraded in the year ahead, and so we're able to kind of isolate that part from it as well. But the goal here is to make sure that people have a platform that's stable, that's consumable, and that's easily integratable into both their back office and their front office, but allow us to maintain the currency of the platform and the infrastructure vis-a-vis the software as a service sitting on top of our platform as a service.
Is it obvious yet who should get the cord, Brent? I mean, I'll just give it to Dave right now. There you go, Dave. Put your head right in between there, because
I am not technical. I used to be. That was a long time ago, though.
No, but you've got it all there. So I aspire to be to get more chords, but I'll keep this one for now, Dave. But I appreciate you covering me, as I'm supposed to be the professor. But no, it's really exciting, Brent, and obviously it's well thought out. And it's really just a matter of us getting the word out. And we thank you for this opportunity to do so, because we're hearing a lot of things. And again, in the marketplace, a lot of it we want to address and make things more simple. And that's why we're talking to partners, I mean, like yourself, who isn't quite on board yet, but is interested in hearing more. So, we want partners who, are craftsmen, are exceptional at their craft. The people who, in our past experiences, have, can tell that end-to-end story, right? We have approached some partners, and I think this is what also differentiates us is, many of the partners I've talked to said, geez, professor, I can't really afford to take on another platform. And what's great about the modular aspects of what we're doing is we say, you don't have to, you don't have to sell our commerce, right? Application piece, our front end, our web store. But you and I both know that you have tons of complex companies out there that do in fact require an order management application, or are interested in marketplace. And what all we're saying is, give us the opportunity to tell this story, because we have no interest in that commerce piece if they're very happy on what they have. So it allows us to be that differentiated platform within a very, very crowded market, right? And we know it's very crowded.
Yeah, so let me jump in with 2 questions, and you guys can choose to answer who's going to answer it. But the first question, from an agency side, the responsibility on maintaining the code base. Some other platforms make it, it's 100% on the user or the agency to maintain that code base and maintain that version and make sure that it's at a certain point or state. And at the end of the day, the merchant pays for that. So that's question number 1. And then I guess question number 2 is the peripheral items. If we get ourselves out of e-commerce, so let's talk about OMS. How does it look to integrate that into something like Adobe Commerce or BigCommerce if you want to use that OMS system? And does it make sense for a merchant to choose the OMS for UltraCommerce and BigCommerce for their e-commerce platform?
We'll address your two questions in sequence here. So the first one, so there's opportunity for agencies, our agency partners, to support the code base. Now we will support the platform code base, right? Well, I would like to think of this as where we see the greatest opportunity is the agencies around customizations, around future featured functions and roadmap and performance and execution and strategy to keep the site current and modern and keep upgrading the digital experience. And we'll manage the back end piece of that in terms of the platform core capability itself. But there's tremendous opportunity for the agencies to participate in that support. But the core platform itself is and the currency of that is maintained as part of their subscription license. And so we will make sure that the customer has the most current version of the platform itself always available to them according to their release schedule and their ability to test and do regression as they see fit. But there's a tremendous opportunity for the agencies to manage customizations, manage integrations, manage maybe some enhancements or extensions and swapping out, maybe they're going to add or change a payment gateway, maybe they're going to add some additional content, maybe they're going to pull in a CDN or a DAM that's going to change the way that they're going to present graphics on the front end, maybe they're going to rebrand the site or rebrand a sub-site or launch microsites, right? So there's tremendous opportunity for the agencies to still support their customer, because that's the way we want to go to market, is that, in your case, it would be your customer and your integrations point, and we're here as a participant and a partner with you and your customer to make them successful in growing their business. Now, in terms of the platform is constructed that we can integrate our applications into any other third-party applications. It's not natively as easy as it is with ours, right? If someone was going to use BigCommerce as the front end in our OMS, for example, our OMS and our commerce applications sit on the same database. And so there really isn't an integration point, but everything is API enabled. And so we have templates and frameworks to integrate into various commerce platforms, and there's work to be done, but it isn't complicated, it isn't cumbersome, and it isn't time consuming. We have customers today that we're working with in a prospect state, in a sales transaction, where we're proof pointing those things today with several e-commerce platforms. We have some very large enterprise customers who have significant investments in the commerce platform that you're very familiar with, but they need order management capabilities, they need PIM, and they need some marketplace capabilities, and they need much more robust native subscription capability than exists in that commerce platform. And subscriptions is native to our platform, and it's something that can be leveraged on the front end in the other platform while we become the order management capability in the PIM.
And it's very much, go as you, play as you go, right? To Dave's point, some of these customers and prospects have made major investments, and our view on that is we're just hands off, right? But we do provide a strategy that says we're going to launch 4 or 5 of these other web stores, and we don't want to integrate those, right? We might as well roll it out of the box. So the expense and the investment is done over there, and that's fine. You keep it. We'll focus on this new go-to-market strategy, and that's where we'll go. As a matter of fact, some of these platforms that Dave said very well, some of them we're talking about, and to say, you don't have an OMS. Would you like to offer our OMS as part of your commerce solution? And people are taking notice. So it's a fun conversation to have, because all those people, the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of stuff, right? It's not as competitive as you might think. It's really looking for where's the white space for us to be a partner to even those competitive platforms.
Yeah, so it sounds like a good scenario as well would be a multinational that wants to enter a new market and maybe doesn't have an OMS yet, or would like to replace it, so they could enter the market with their traditional e-commerce system in market A, and enter new market B with UltraCommerce and the OMS, and then tie the other channel into that OMS system.
Who do you have in mind, Brent?
We have several such scenarios where that's exactly what's going on, okay. Right? And it's we also have customers where they're running another commerce platform, multiple instances, right? Because of their scale and their size, they're running different instances in different geographies, and very, very numerous of those. But an interesting go-to-market strategy is they're deploying our platform to support some of their new markets, and they'll run those all multi-tenant so that each geography will have its own storefront in native language. Although we are multilingual, multi-currency enabled, each of those local geos will have their own storefront sitting on our platform. The platform will integrate into their existing commerce platforms, so they can do things like cross-border fulfillment, cross-border sourcing, and shipments, and replenishments in their distribution centers, but also order fulfillment for products that may be out of stock in some of these other geos or the distribution centers that are supporting those other regions. And so it provides a pretty powerful and flexible model, because when we think about it, it's a lower cost way for them to go to market in these new geos, because they can, in their current model was, I go to a new geo, I launch an entire e-commerce platform, I got to stand up a marketing team, I've got to stand up all this other business infrastructure, not technical infrastructure, to support this business. And we're doing that, a new one in each geo. And what they told us was it was cost prohibitive in some markets they wanted to go to because of the cost involved in doing all that. And so what we were going to defray was the technical infrastructure and the e-commerce infrastructure piece of that. And then they're going to centralize things like marketing and promotions and business around this idea of that's centralized, but we can be region specific, and we can launch content specific and localized specific storefronts that are all hanging off of this central stack.
So pivoting or not pivoting, but let's just continue on this part of it, would be the multinational that wants to test a market, and they want to do it with a low cost, and they want to do a low cost test. So if they had a license and they're running in a region, could they then just simply spin up another store view, launch that store view in Spanish and, in some far-flung
so
Latin region?
That's a great example, and we can maybe back into some commercial conversation there. So when we licensed the platform, it is a straight subscription. It's based on actual consumption, and it's a combination of page views and orders that process through the system. So if somebody wants to launch a new storefront, they don't need a new license, right? They have an unlimited capability to deploy storefronts. All we're doing is monitoring how many orders process through the system on a monthly basis, and then we're billing them in arrears based on that. And so they have an unlimited capability to go into new markets and launch an unlimited number of storefronts on the platform itself without ever having to talk to me again. And that's a great capability for those kind of those multinational corporations that want to go test a new market, right? We support 15 languages natively out of the box. It's very easy for us to add additional language packs. We support currencies and localization for those as well. Right now, we're not translating all of their content around their products in the database. They still have to do that work, but all the platform prompts and the currency we can convert automatically, but all the system generated capabilities will natively flip language very simply.
Yeah, let's not. Oh, sorry, Dave.
I was just going to say, so it makes it really simple for them to go and deploy in any new region, and it's not just new regions, and that's the interesting part of this, because one of the things that drove me here was our pricing strategy, our licensing strategy, the way we go to market. We're trying to make it easy for our customers to operate their business at scale and give them flexibility to go into new markets or to go to businesses. And so the interesting part of bring this up is we're actually encouraging our customers to license the product at a corporate entity level, right? So because we're only counting page views and we're counting orders on the back end of this, if they want to run sister companies on the platform, it's like we want to give them the capability to do that. We're just going to aggregate orders. And oh, by the way, I could invoice those different enterprises separately if they would like me to. But we're also providing them the ability of the example I used before, where marketplace participants can have storefronts, right? We're providing the ability for them to offer e-commerce capabilities to people who might not have it natively today on our platform without that entity needing to have a license to my platform. Because again, I'm just aggregating orders on the back end, and I can invoice each of those storefronts separately for their own order traffic, or I can invoice the market operator here. So it's a capability where we have customers today who have designs on launching hundreds, if not thousands, of storefronts hanging off of their marketplace to serve their customers, right? All of those storefronts are are B2C facing, where our customers B2B, and they're going to charge a nominal service for providing complete e-commerce operation services to that company, and they're just going to pay our per order fees on the volume basis themselves, and it'll be a reasonably profitable business for them. And from my standpoint, more power to them, right? I don't care, and I don't license, restrict, or constrain their ability to go and work with their customers to launch these new storefronts.
All right, I
So-
see Matt, or I'm seeing
Yeah.
not Matt. I don't know who this Matt guy is.
No,
but
I know.
see, Professor Yu has his notebook out, and are we going to talk about?
Well,
costs right
he
now?
always says something that's good, but he's so well spoken. I want to make sure something doesn't get lost here. Dave made a couple of awesome points, right? And I want to put it in a real time engagement, right? First of all, orders. Many of these companies charge by the order line, and going back to commercial terms, right, Brent? That was one of the things you wanted to talk about. We charge by the order. So think about a B2B order. One order could be anywhere from a couple dozen lines to 1,000 lines. We don't count each individual order. We count individual order line. We count the order itself, which is huge in a B2B type of a scenario. And as you think about those order lines and you think about those networks, if you claim to be a B2B commerce expert, there's no way that order management and ATP does not come into that conversation, where you split these orders, you decompose them, and then you reorchestrate based on network complexity, right? And where the inventory is. There's just virtually no way. The other thing that Dave mentioned that's really cool about the storefronts, and we are engaged today. One we signed last week, one we're talking to right now, which is, without being too secret, Dave, pending signature. Excuse me. These marketplaces are doing just what he said. It's like they're offering a really robust technology to companies that can't normally afford it by being the storefront and the distributor or provider of merchandise to these marketplaces. So it's kind of this economy of scale where people are trying to take back their business and create their own marketplaces, and then at the same time offer a technology that has them all talking together and unlimited, making the storefront capabilities of potentially hundreds to thousands of vendors who contribute and participate in this marketplace access to that technology that they could not normally get themselves.
It's an interesting dynamic, because when you think about e-commerce today, so one of the companies that Matt's mentioning, they're very good at e-commerce, right, and servicing their customers who are themselves dealers and stores, and it's a B2B capabilities. But many of those small business independent operators had approached them and said, look, we don't even know where to start to get into e-commerce. Couldn't you just do this for us, right? And so what they found with our platform is now they can provide e-commerce as a service, everything from marketing and CRM to SEO, right, to which are more process focused, to the entire e-commerce and orchestration platform. But it's different than some of the other multi-tenant platforms that they could simply very cheaply go and sign up. But if you think about a scenario where I'm providing you a storefront, right, that's sitting on my platform, I'm already your supplier, so now you have access to me as a drop shipper for things you don't have in inventory in your store. You can update and maintain and sell the things that are in your store, but I'm also providing you a fully populated catalog as part of your e-commerce platform, because you sell my products anyway. And so the catalog's pre-populated when you sign up for your website, right? It also allows the storefront to sell a greater product assortment, because most of these dealers don't have the facilities to carry 100% of the distributor's products in the store, but they can carry them online because they're going to get the catalog populated for free, and all those things they don't have in inventory can be naturally drop shipped. Now, some of the unique complexities of this is in cases where most of these storefronts are not competitive, right? And they're not geographically competitive or close together. And so they're also implementing some rules that say, hey, let's enable some kind of omni-channel capabilities that says, if you don't have this in your store and I, as the provider, don't have it in my inventory, but it's in a storefront over here, they're putting rules in place that allow both parties to make that sale and to make profit on selling inventory that's sitting in another storefront. And so it's a pretty interesting dynamic that says, now I've created an omni-channel environment from a single storefront, right? Because I'm leveraging kind of this always in stock model that says, if it exists in the marketplace ecosystem somewhere for sale, you can sell it through your storefront or you can sell it through your store, right? And we'll enable fulfillment and we'll enable both parties to participate and make money on that transaction because there was inventory available to meet a customer demand.
Just don't buy
Now,
it from the evil empire. We know who that is. But that's
so it is a really powerful model, and the part of it that I think is hugely differentiating is this concept that says you're getting your storefront with a pre-populated catalog inclusive of inventory.
Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left. Let's kind of wrap up the conversation around costs and maybe
Sure.
some entry points and what kind of entry point costs those.
Are we too salesy, Brent?
No, we're all great. We're super.
Okay.
So look,
Good.
the cost part of this is the funnest part of my job, because look, we have banded order pricing that's in our contract for infinite items, so there's no price increases for the term of the contract, right? So on the lower end with a smaller volume commitment, if somebody's doing, let's say, 5,000 to 10,000 orders a month, the price comes out to about in effect between $1.50 and $2 an order. And the more volume they pump through, on the low end, it could be 35 cents an order, right? And that could be an order with thousands of line items in it or one line item in it. And so the other interesting part of that process is there's only one order that they're selling, right? And so if they're using e-commerce or if they're using the entire platform, there's still just one order, just so the price is the same, right? So they have the ability to have the full benefit and power of the platform itself, right? But you think about, if I'm buying, let's say I found another commerce platform that was charging by orders and I need order management, right? I would have to pay for that order to exist in both systems. With us, it's just one charge. So from a pricing perspective, it's subscription, it's in arrears based on actual order volumes. Our pricing is somewhat dynamic in that if somebody has peak holiday and just has an absolutely fantastic month in November, right? And they expand up into one of our pricing bands for that month, they get billed for that pricing band for that month. But if they drop down into a lower pricing tier in the following month, their price goes back down too. So there's pricing elasticity. So we're literally only charging you based on our bands for your actual number of orders that you processed in the prior month. And so that's a pretty unique wheel as well, because we're not aggregating what you think you're going to do for the entire year. We're not aggregating the total number of orders for the year. We're just pricing you based on what you actually did in the previous month. The other part of this that I love about the pricing model is the customers only pay for non-production license until they go live. And so when they sign the contract, there's no invoice for the full year's worth of subscription. It is, our non-prod environments can be as little as $950 a month plus compute charges on AWS. And so, the customer's charge per month is literally just, or even in the partner's case, while they're paying a partner, one of our partners, to deploy the solution, but from UltraCommerce, you're only paying for the non-prod environments that you're using until you go live, and then your subscription kicks in. The other part of this that I also love is, we offer very flexible terms and conditions, right? We actually have termination for convenience. So if a customer's not happy with our platform, they can leave at any time by offering us, I think in most cases it's 30 to 60 days notice, and then they can leave. So there's no long-term commitment, there's no long-term fees, there's no penalties for leaving. Now, knock on wood, we haven't had anybody who's left. But we offer them that flexibility that says, look, if you're not happy with our platform, we'd love to cure it and we want you to stay, but we don't. But if you're that unhappy that you want to leave, we're not going to handcuff you and make you pay out the remainder of your contract before you can leave.
So, Professor Yu, what about partners? How do you get partners involved in this? And give us a little bit of background on that, on some.
Yeah, I mean, we are looking for partners that have a Java practice, that understand Java. The platform is 100%, native Java. And really, we're just, I'm not trying to build one of these partner programs that's hundreds of partners large, right? Or even tens of partners large. I think that a nice number for the next maybe couple of years would be somewhere between 20 and 30. I think, and that's globally. I think the optimal scenario is keeping our partners fed, not wondering when they're going to get their next lead from the platform. Everybody at Ultra is a salesperson, so we are all working the phones and looking for opportunities to talk to people like any commerce platform. And we're talking to partners again who we know have delivered in the past, and I can say that of several of the partners that have joined up in the first couple months, they are partners that until building an Ultra platform were exclusive to another platform and had been exclusive for years. And once they get on the phone, I have to say, Matt Boland did a pretty good job. He has some relationships that he's built over time, and those relationships allowed him to at least get on the phone and tell people what he was doing. And then once they get into the demo scenario and they start looking and feeling, then they fall in love with the platform. And they say, this is really dynamic. And again, we tell them, you can pick one application that you'd like to, one module within the platform that you'd like to cut your teeth on. But it's great to know that it's entirely there. And to Dave's earlier points and to what we were saying before, you're as a consulting agency like you are, you want to be listening to their vision and being able to understand how these different points of light create one seamless process, and being able to borrow capabilities from other pieces of the platform is critical to building that end-to-end process. So we think it offers it's companies who understand beyond the web store. Like, I know for a fact, Brent, you guys know PIM. I know for a fact that you guys know order management. You obviously know the web front end. To my knowledge, you don't have an order management capability anymore. You used to, or maybe you still do, or maybe you found another one. But we'd like to say, you don't have to go out there and sell Ultra's web front end, our commerce solution. But think about all those customers that have that complexity. Let's look at it as an order management opportunity to build out your practice and your capabilities. So again, keeping the partner program nice and small and intimate, and working with those, and knowing that we probably have to bring some of these new partners an opportunity up front, and we've been doing that. And in more cases than not, it's more than one opportunity. And we know it will come back to us once they start working with the platform and they start dazzling their clients. And we've already seen that. Dave, we got a call yesterday from one of these partners who was previously an exclusive partner of another platform, who said, I think we got something for you. So yeah, it's starting to show that return. And we're not in a race. We're in it for the long haul. So, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, I think some of the exciting things that are coming, that I've learned out of this, that are coming out of this, are e-commerce as a service, and I think that that is something that is wanting to be offered more and more. And I know one of the barriers has been cost, and if that central person can cover that, then that's a fantastic value offer for that. And then the ability to have all these different pieces in that one part of it is another really valuable piece of it. So anyways,
I can't tell you. I'll give you a little bit of passion, Brent, at the end. I can accept when all right, I can accept. I get really passionate about the fact that somebody says we can't take on another platform. And I just say, you're not hearing me. I don't want to upset your practice around these platforms. I want you to look at what I'm trying to bring you how do I help you extend your stickiness, right? By providing these solutions that if you don't look at your customer base as all of them need to fall into this. Just look at the one or two who have a network that's so complex, that have ordering capabilities that are so complex, you know they need order management. We will, if you want us to sign that we will not talk about commerce to this client, we won't. They can stay on whatever platform they want. We want to bring solutions that help our partners with their stickiness and solve our customers' problems. End of story. And in fact, like I said, we are actually talking to other commerce platforms about being their OMS. And that causes a lot of, it could cause a lot of constraint, but we're not interested in the commerce piece. We're interested in the order management piece in those engagements. It's a fun ride.
Yeah, good. All right. So just to wrap things up here, if you could each give us maybe a little tidbit to give to a merchant who's listening, and not maybe the tidbit isn't going to be buy UltraCommerce, but
Oh, there goes my
some actionable
tidbit.
item they could take away from this.
Yeah, look, I would say for us, from my perspective, the thing I love to see merchants talking about: how do we reach new customers? How do we enter new markets? How do we expand our assortment? Right. And so kind of the critical differentiation now, when everybody's been shut down in COVID, my favorite conversation with the CFO is think about all the places in their ecosystem, whether they're online only or whether they're running storefronts, is how do I make sure that on all of my channels all the time, every day, that if I have something available for somebody to buy and they want it in a channel, then I can expose it to that channel and I can sell it and I can fulfill it from there. Because if you're not leveraging 100% of your inventory 100% of the time and 100% of your channels, then pardon my French, but what the hell do you have it for, right?
And going to the professor, what is your...
You know what? That was so eloquent. We should have saved him for last. Because it's about the business. It's not about the solution. It's not about the application. I would say think before you act today. There's a lot of buzz around what's going on with headless and microservices, and we're headless enabled. We are microservices enabled. We can do those things, but really understand your business strategy. That's my tip. That has nothing to do with UltraCommerce. It is what's out there. Who am I as a merchant, right? Am I a organization that wants to invite more complexity into my infrastructure? Am I a company that wants to develop and design software and write more aspects into this stuff, into our solution set? Or am I somebody who needs a solution that gets me 85% there out of the box, right? I just want people to, who was it that said it? I think it was Public Enemy. Don't believe the hype, right? And it's really just, and I don't mean it like that as a derogatory thing. I mean, it is do your homework, right? Give us a call, or give you a call, Brent. Give your agency a call, and talk to them about reducing complexity. And that's what I think most businesses are after, even if they can handle the complexity. I can even leave you with a small graphic. Here you go. I'll turn my thing around. These are the things to think about too. Dave kind of hit on them. Somebody could take a snapshot if they wanted, but here's who we are and what we are and why we're important to clients. And those don't buy UltraCommerce. Just be aware of what we are and who we are. And this kind of stacks it all up. So
yeah, and
that's where I'd leave it.
Those who are listening on the podcast, I'll put this slide in the show notes. Matt is, I'm sorry, I don't know who Matt is anyways. Professor Yu is going to send me that slide. All right, so we have like 2 minutes left. So each of you, I want you to give me a shameless plug. And now that you've also given your tidbits around the plug can't be about normally it can be about anything, but we've talked so much about UltraCommerce. Your shameless plug has to be something different.
Professor, you want to go first this time?
Yeah, I would say call Brent at Wagento to help you solve your business problems. And he's not even a partner of ours. So that's how much more shameless can you be than to plug Brent? I've worked with Brent for several years. I wasn't always his partner manager when I worked elsewhere, but we developed a relationship, and I know his organization. I know what they're capable of. And I know that they'll give you that kind of perspective that you want. So that's plug number one. Plug number two is follow Professor U on LinkedIn for your straight story on commerce today.
So I'll give everyone a knock on wood, hopefully post COVID plug, which says we've all spent a lot of time sequestered in our homes. We've all done a lot, probably worked a lot more hours than you thought you would working remotely. So I would tell everybody, whether your passion is your job, like mine and Brent's and Matt's and Professor U's are, or whether your passion is your hobby, right? Find enough time to just go for it.
Excellent. Thank you for that. That's fantastic. I'm going to again promote our unconference, and an unconference is something where everybody shows up and they put some topics on the board. So there has been a major unconference in Cologne, Germany for 5 or 6 years now. We are promoting an unconference in Orlando, Florida, in or around January 21st in 2022. And we are going to have a hackathon around that. So as I talk more to other platforms and other people, it's being less exclusive. It'll be non-exclusive. And I can say I went to the unconference in Germany in 2019, and Shopware was there, and one of the owners was there of Shopware, in fact, and he put up a topic, and it was incredibly interesting and fun. So it will be a limited engagement for the unconference in Germany. They limit it to 140 people because of just the fact that it is not there. There's no pre-done presentations. We vote on the presentation that we would all like to hear. So it can't be a giant thing. But so that's what I'm now promoting and going for next time. So all right, well, we're 1 minute past the hour, and this has been a great talk. I think that we have a lot more conversations to come up that we could talk about, maybe some specific subjects, and marketplace is a great one that has been coming up a lot lately. OMS is as Professor Yu said, there is now one less OMS player in the market. There's more opportunities around that. There's so many things that we get, and I think e-commerce as a service is another great one that manufacturers and distributors can offer to their vendors, especially those that maybe can't afford to get into a full e-commerce website, even if you're talking of one of the SaaS quick launch type of things. So I thank you both for being here. This has been very fun and exciting, and I look.
You have 1 second, Brent? I have a
Yes.
gift for you. I have a gift
please.
for you. Hold on.
I hope it's not a meme.
Right, while Professor gets his gift, I'll thank you for hosting us. This was very, very enjoyable, and we'd be happy to come back at any time.
Great. Thank you. Thanks. And we might have to edit out a short bit unless, Professor Yu's back. Excellent.
Yeah, I have for you your very own pair of Professor Yu. You can hang these on your back wall. Hang them from your microphone.
Excellent.
I'll make sure I get these off to you.
For those on the podcast, Professor Yu is fully dressed up in not dressed up. He's wearing he is Groucho
normal
Marx
garb.
Yeah. Anyways, you look fantastic, by the way, today.
Not as fantastic as you, Brent, which is standard for you.
All right. Well, thank you again, both, and
thank you.
We
have a great day.
To the future. Thanks. The Talk Commerce podcast is sponsored by SwiftOtter. E-commerce developers solve problems daily. In fact, some of those seem like mountainous hurdles that must be climbed in a matter of hours. Stress levels can go through the roof. No wonder the plague of burnout affects developers too. But there's a vaccine for that. Investing time in your career will take you farther than you ever imagined. Meet SwiftOtter. SwiftOtter exists to help you become the e-commerce hero that is indispensable and irreplaceable at your company. We do this through Magento certification study materials and Joseph Maxwell's most recent book, The Art of E-commerce Debugging. Go to swiftotter.com to learn more about how you can quickly climb the ranks in your quest to be a better developer. While you're there, use the coupon code TALKCommerce for 15% off any digital goods at swiftotter.com. TalkCommerce is brought to you by eWay Corp. Cloud is the new normal for companies of any size. Buying, maintaining, upgrading, and disposing of machines is expensive and complicated. Amazon Web Services, managed by eWay Corp, offers an easy-to-use, flexible, cost-effective solution to all your infrastructure needs. eWay Corp can provide a secure, reliable, scalable, high-performance network that will make your office hum, not literally. eWay Corp has saved its customers an average of 31% on their IT costs while adding 62% to the bottom line efficiency. To top that, their customers have seen 43% fewer security incidents. Go to ewaycorp.com to learn how you can start saving money and headaches by moving to the cloud. That's ewaycorp.com. Thank you again for listening. My name is Brent Peterson, and it has been my pleasure to be your host today. Please rate and subscribe to Talk Commerce. New shows out every week.